Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the One Fear Per Year podcast, where we have made a commitment that we are going to live our best lives and we are going to face those things that threaten to hold us back from doing so. And today I have a dear woman that I've known for, it's probably been over a decade now. Katrina Sawa, thank you so much for popping on here to give us all of your heart and wisdom.
Glad to be here, Janice. Thank you.
So I met you and know you as a brilliant and amazing entrepreneur and businesswoman. So talk to us a little bit about that journey of starting your own business and how fear was involved in that, if it even was. Tell us a little bit about that.
I think a lot of people are fearful in starting their own business and leaving the job. And that's probably one thing I didn't have. So I had a lot of faith. I had in myself and my abilities. When I left that last job, so to speak, that's why I call it. I literally told my boss to F off in his office and then walked out the door and never looked back. And that was my very last job. And I said, I'm starting a business. And so, but I mean, with that being said, I did do some prep work. I did see a business coach first. I did have a lot of people in my network in my local community that I'd already been networking with through the two last jobs that I had. So I knew a lot of people. I was connected, and I knew I had abilities, and I had somewhat of a direction from at least a couple sessions of a business coach to at least point me in a path. You know, that's as far as I knew when I left. That I just okay, it'll all work out somehow, some way. It'll all work itself out.
Now, that's super interesting because that belief or thought has to come from somewhere.
I
Where do you
know.
think you garnered that faith, that belief that, hey, some way and somehow everything's going to work out?
Oh, I think about that because people ask me about that all the time. And I didn't know it then, but I know it now. That has been my motto that I've lived by in my entrepreneurial journey for 23 years. Okay. I even wrote a chapter about it in a book in 2006. Before I knew it was my motto, that was the title of the chapter. It'll all work out in the end. And then I would just say it and do it and I would be it. And then like 8 or 9 years later, I'm like, oh my God, that's my motto. I've been living by it. And look at the chapter I wrote like 8 years later. You know what I mean? So I, my mom and dad were never entrepreneurial. I don't know. Like they divorced when I was 5. So, there's that unsure of what's going on type of thing. But my grandma and grandpa were always very stable. They had money. I could tell they had money, So my mom never worried about money because I think she knew that she could always get money from her parents. And so for some reason, not that it's all about money, but I didn't have that money fear, right? Which a lot of people do. They have the money fear because I was like, well, if I leave the job, I can just ask my mom for a loan and she can give it to me and I'll be fine until I can make enough to go on. People don't always have that. So I had that sense. I didn't think it necessarily intellectually. I just had that knowing.
That that totally makes sense to me.
Yeah.
There's this feeling of safety in a
Mhm.
sense, like I'm never gonna be destitute or on the street, with nothing
Yeah.
to kind of a thing. So has there been anything in your life, not the entrepreneurial journey, but any other area where fear has really shown up and you've had to have that internal struggle?
I think fear for me was I so it's hard to pin it. I've never talked about this, but like I had a couple scenarios with some men when I was dating um that weren't the greatest experiences, I will tell you. And they were physical and I think I was most fearful of that. And so but I what did I do? When I went out, I would drink too much, right? And I think that is what caused me to get into scenarios that weren't so great. Um, and so the fear was, I think, about being alone, frankly. It was about being alone. And between marriages, like this was before marriage, what I'm talking about, my first marriage, but between my first marriage and my second marriage, I talk about having a hole in my heart because I didn't have that love, that person, right? I didn't have my person that really believed in me. And so I'm sure that before I got married in my 20s or whatnot, that was what it was, but I didn't know it back then. I had a hole in my heart. I wanted love, and I did all the things that I thought would get me there, but it didn't, and it manifested in other things. And so I think the fear was about not having love, honestly.
Totally. Oh my goodness. You hit such a core fear. I feel like for a lot of us, it's the fear of not being loved or fear of not being worthy of love, fear of not being good enough, those types of things. And um, that hole or emptiness inside that we kind of feel.
And 20 years later, the book that I wrote, of course, is Love Yourself Successful, right? Like it just goes hand in hand with your experience. But you have to grow through things in order to be able to put the words together, I think, to be able to express and then help others through.
Yes.
Yeah.
What were some of the things that you did to love yourself successful? Are there any um, things that you can pinpoint that you did, practices, meditations, activities, like anything like that?
I'm more of a people and a pets person. So I never really did a lot of meditation. Between marriages or in my early 20s too, I would work out a little bit, but I really didn't like exercise. Okay, so like I think what I did in between marriages is I mean, I had gone to a lot more personal development conferences and business conferences because I was now in business, right? And so I was starting to learn about loving yourself and self-worth and things like that. And what I realized when I had the hole in my heart, because I didn't have a significant other at the time, I was like, okay, so I don't have love from a significant other in my life. Where can I get love to give me love? What can I get love from? And well, I thought about it one day and I'm like, well, I get love from my dog, who was amazing. My dog was my baby. I had my dog for 14 years. I got him in the marriage, in the divorce, right? So pet love. I'm like, my dog. I would spoon with my dog. That's the kind of love. It almost trumps the significant other love, let me tell you. And then I thought, okay, I also find love and joy with kids. I didn't have any kids. So I'm like, I would call my friends who had little kids. I'm like, can I come over and play with their kids? Can I come over and play with your kids? And so I would hang out with my friends who had kids. I usually like them under teenager because then they're just a little too not so fun anymore. But so I would play with the kids, hang out with my friends, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Really finding that, and that is so true about pets and animals. I didn't quite know the significance of that until I lost my little dog. I think he was 13 years old or 14 also. And it was just like, oh my gosh, now I know what people go through. And the whole Rainbow Bridge thing was so meaningful. All of that, because they do, I really feel like animals and the way they give us love so unconditionally and so beautifully is a great way for us to learn how to give love to ourselves and to other people, that unconditional, beautiful, amazing love.
It is. And that particular dog that I left the marriage with, his name was Zeke. And I would always tell him, you can't leave me until I find the one. You can't leave me until I find the one. You can't leave me until I find the one. And I remember I found the one who I didn't know was going to be the one, but I found him. It was June 27th, 2012. And First date. That was our first date, but I knew that was it. And he met the dog and all the things. And then I went off to a conference. Literally like 2 weeks later, I went off to a conference and I got the call from my dog sitter that said, Zeke is down and he's not getting up. And he was 14. So I had to change plans, come home early and put the dog down. And literally 2 weeks later, after I met my current husband, the dog, my Zeke gave out. And I'm like, oh my God, like he totally knew. Cause I had lots of boyfriends between there. Let me just tell you, I had a few. And he was like, nope, I'm not going yet. This one's not the one. Oh my
Oh,
God, it was the sweetest thing. I know.
that is so sweet. Now, here's a question. If we don't have a significant other, we don't have a pet, we don't have maybe somebody externally showing us that love, what do we do?
Well, a lot of people, a lot of my friends, and they have love with God and or some kind of faith and spirituality practices. And I know some people that do like deep yoga and very interesting practices that give them lots of love. And other people can give, I mean, you can surround yourself with love if you find the right circles to be in. So that's one of the reasons I started a women's group here locally, because I was part of one that was just feeding my soul so much virtually. And then when I would see them in person, I'd be like, oh my God, I need to take you all home. And I couldn't because they lived all over the world, right? And I'm like, but I have to. So I had to start a local chapter so I could bring that culture and the women I knew locally into that, who were seeking more connection and things like that. So you can do lots of things to create more love in your life.
Ooh, Katrina, I love that you just said that. Speaking of love, I love that you just that you can create it, because I think so many times we are waiting for
Mhm.
things just to come to us. And sometimes they do, they'll just fall into your lap. But other times it's beautiful that we can go out and actually create something for ourselves that then ends up helping other people as
Mhm.
well. And it's just a beautiful way to kind of show up in life. So
Yeah.
to me is so amazing. It's just like this mindset shift of, and I've been guilty of it before too, of just going, why am I not getting, it was almost like this grumpy bug thing. Play with me. Like, play with me. Why is nobody coming to play with me and or love me or whatever? And as soon as I just realized, wait, it's not anybody else's responsibility to do that, to come in and rescue me or save me or even love me. It's how I show up with myself, and then it draws people. It's like this magnet, and then we draw that love into ourselves. So I think that all of those things that you shared are just such good tools and ideas. Now, is there anything coming up for you that where you feel a little bit of fear or trepidation, something that you have to or want to move through, but you can just tell there's a little fear and uncertainty?
Well, gosh, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, right? And I'm usually really good at compartmentalizing and still staying focused in the business and the revenue activities and keeping my head on straight with focus, productivity, that kind of thing. But there's so much negativity and divide and, people hurting and sad and angry out there and being, I don't know how empathic I am, but I feel stuff. And I just feel more negativity, I think, than I normally do, and I don't want to. Like I and I've been criticized for not sharing more about what's going on in the world because I supposedly have a following and it's my duty to share an opinion. Well, I choose not to share an opinion about whatever's going on in the world because it protects my energy and keeps the negativity out because that's what I need to be able to live my life, be with my family, serve clients, and make money, frankly, right? It's the way I think about it is like and I tell this to clients, and I've been doing it way before anyone was in office. It's like me first, then my client, then my family, then my clients, and then everybody else. That's how I give my energy. It has to be to me first. In the morning, I have to do what feeds me first before I jump onto email and put out a fire or tend to a client. It has to be. And then my family, and then clients, and then everybody else. I can't go to everybody else and just help them all like out here without feeding myself first. So that to me is there's this negativity bubble somewhere, and I'm trying to keep out of it. Yeah.
Very wise. And also that concept of the oxygen mask coming down and seems counterintuitive, like, oh no, you'd put it on your child first, you'd put it on the person next to you. But literally, we cannot help anybody else if we're out of oxygen. So that is absolutely true. What are some of the things that you do to fill your own cup for yourself, just you?
Dog love. First of all, the first thing we do is dog love in the morning. My husband, I swear to God, the dog we have right now is like a therapy dog, and she doesn't know it. She was never trained to be a therapy dog. She is a therapy dog. We've had a really hard year we each had 2 surgeries. We had a fire in the last 8 months. It's been a crazy year. And thank God for dog love. That's all I have to say. Because there's
Yeah.
been a lot of tears, there's been a lot of depression and stress, some even stress financially and stuff. Things haven't been going the way I want, and it's been super hard to compartmentalize all those emotions. So I've had to feel them all, and you know, when you feel them and project them, you kind of, in a way, I've seen it repel business. And so I'm trying to snap myself out of it. It's just taking a lot longer than it normally does. That's
But,
what.
I love that you're saying that, because truly, feeling our emotion. I was a person who very much repressed emotions and didn't want to feel them, show them. They were very contained, and I really believe that they get stuck. They got stuck kind of in my body, in my neck. So physically feeling them, as well as just mentally and emotionally. And as soon as I started really processing things from my childhood, all the things through my teenage years and marriage and all of that, it was difficult, but things started moving through and out. So I really feel like, if we allow ourselves to process the emotion, feel it, it goes out. It does exit. It
It
doesn't
does.
stay with us forever. So it's so good.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes just a couple days, and sometimes it takes months. And with bigger traumas, like a loss of a kid or, some significant other, of course, it's going to take years. So, you just have to give yourself grace and give yourself space and grace to be able to, it is what it is. And if you are running a business while you're going through something, make sure you have an assistant or two that can help manage some of the things. You can't just drop the ball on everything, because your income will just go ba-boom, right down the tank. So set yourself and your business up for success, ideally before anything happens, right? That's what I love to help people do, is like, you never know what's going to happen. So set it up for that automation, the team, the delegation, all the things, so that if something happens, because we all know something's going to happen, like at some point we're going to go through something, you know. Um,
That's really good advice, to learn how to delegate, automate, do all those things so that it's not so much stress and pressure on you when you do need to take that
exactly.
mental health day break or whatever it is. So one last question. We're totally out of time, but I want to hear your opinion and thoughts, and no wrong answer. But if there is an opposite word from the word fear. Like, what word would be the opposite word for you when you think about that?
Well, the only word for me is love. So I would think it would be that.
As love yourself successful, everybody. Katrina, thank you so much for joining me. You were just a wonderful human being. And I truly thank you for sharing your heart with us today, because I know a lot of people are feeling the same things that you are. So you are not alone. And everybody out there, go out and face your fears, live your best life, create something new, and love yourself successful. Bye, everybody.